Chosen one, why have you been carrying the weight of unanswered prayers for so long? Why does it feel like heaven has forgotten your address while blessing everyone around you? Why do you wake up at 3 a.m. with a fire in your chest that won't let you rest, as if something magnificent is trying to break through, but you can't name it? Stop, right there. If you're hearing my voice on the 19th of August, this is not coincidence. This is divine appointment. Yesterday was preparation. Today unlocks the hidden door. Listen to me carefully, beloved. There's a vault in the spiritual realm with your name carved into its ancient stone, not written, carved, deep, permanent, eternal. This vault has been sealed since before you took your first breath, waiting for this exact moment when your pain would become your key. Haven't you felt like you've been knocking on doors that never opened? Like you've been standing outside your own destiny, pressing your face against the glass, watching others walk into blessings that should have been yours? That exhaustion you feel, that bone-deep weariness of hoping and waiting and believing when nothing seems to change, that wasn't punishment. That was preparation. But here's the shocking truth they don't want you to know. Every rejection, every delay, every moment you thought God had forgotten you, it was all creating the exact spiritual frequency needed to unlock what's been waiting for you behind this door. The 19th of August carries a supernatural key, not for everyone, only for those who've been marked by heaven's hand, tested by fire, and refined in the furnace of delayed promises. The chosen ones who've learned to worship in the wilderness. Before we journey deeper into this sacred mystery together, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and plant that seed of faith. Now, chosen one, something is stirring in the atmosphere around your life. Can you feel it? That electric anticipation, that sense that the very air is pregnant with possibility. Before this hour ends, you will understand why every heartbreak shaped your compassion, why every betrayal taught you discernment, why every closed door was redirecting you toward this moment. Stay with me, because if you walk away now, you'll miss the key that unlocks everything you've been praying for. The door isn't just opening, it's been blown off its hinges. If you feel that fire rising in your chest, if something ancient in your spirit is awakening right now, comment, "I'm ready for the door below." This isn't just engagement, this is your spiritual agreement with heaven that you're done waiting and ready to walk through. The vault is opening, chosen one, and what's inside will leave you speechless. Why did the 18th of August feel like standing at the edge of a cliff with nowhere to jump? Why did every door you approached yesterday creak open just enough to show you what was inside, then slam shut before you could enter? Why are you sitting here today feeling like you're one breath away from either breakthrough or breakdown? Listen to me, beloved. What happened to you in these last 3 days wasn't coincidence, it was choreography. Divine choreography orchestrated by the hand of the Almighty Himself. Let me take you back to the 16th of August. Do you remember that moment when the fog lifted from your mind? When suddenly, after months of confusion, you could see with crystal clarity. That wasn't your imagination finally getting it together. That was the veil being torn. Isaiah 25:7 tells us, "On this mountain he will destroy the shroud that enfolds all peoples, the sheet that covers all nations." The shroud over your understanding was ripped away on the 16th. You saw the pattern. You understood why certain doors closed. You recognized the divine redirection that had been happening all along. Then came the 17th of August. The day of confirmation. Signs started appearing everywhere, didn't they? Repeated numbers, unexpected encounters, conversations that felt like God Himself was speaking through strangers' mouths. You felt that deep resonance in your spirit, that knowing that whispered, "Yes, this is it. This is your time." The universe itself seemed to be nodding in agreement with the direction of your heart. But then the 18th of August arrived. And that's where everything got intense. The doors shook. Oh, how they shook. You could feel breakthrough trembling on the other side, phone calls that almost happened, opportunities that came within inches of materializing, conversations that started but never quite finished. You went to bed last night wondering if you'd imagined it all, wondering if you'd somehow missed your moment, wondering if God had changed his mind about you. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand about yesterday. The 18th of August wasn't about the doors opening. It was about testing whether you still believed they could. You see, dear one, you've been living the story of Joshua and the children of Israel at Jericho. For 6 days they marched around those massive walls in complete silence. 6 days of walking the same path, seeing the same obstacles, facing the same impossibilities. Can you imagine what they must have felt on day 6? The doubt creeping in. Are we just walking in circles? Has God forgotten his promise? Maybe this isn't going to work. But Joshua knew something they were still learning. God's timing is never early, and it's never late. It's always precisely, perfectly on time. 6 days around the wall. Silent, obedient, faithful, but feeling foolish, feeling forgotten. Feeling like they were wasting their time on a strategy that made no earthly sense. Sound familiar? The 16th of August through 18th. That was your march around Jericho. Each day building pressure, each day testing your faith, each day asking the same question. Will you keep believing when you can't see the breakthrough coming? But here's the revelation that's going to shift everything for you. Delay is not denial, it's divine positioning. God wasn't withholding your blessing on the 18th of August. He was positioning it. He was making sure that when those walls finally fell, you'd be ready to possess what was on the other side. Because here's what most people don't understand about breakthrough. It's not just about getting through the door. It's about being equipped to handle what's waiting in the room. Think about this. If those doors had opened on the 16th of August, would you have been ready? If that opportunity had materialized on the 17th of August, would you have had the wisdom to steward it? If that breakthrough had come on the 18th of August, would you have possessed the character to sustain it? God saw what you couldn't see. He knew that 3 more days of refinement, 3 more days of faith building, 3 more days of spiritual muscle development were exactly what you needed to carry the weight of what he's about to place in your hands. The children of Israel didn't march around Jericho for 6 days because the walls were too strong. They marched for 6 days because their faith needed to be strong enough to handle what happened after the walls fell. They were about to inherit a city. They were about to possess their promise. They were about to walk into their destiny. But first, they had to prove they could follow God's instructions, even when those instructions didn't make sense, just like you've been doing. Every morning you woke up and chose faith over fear. That was your march around Jericho. Every time you prayed when your prayers felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling, that was your obedient lap around the wall. Every moment you declared God's goodness when your circumstances were screaming otherwise, that was you walking in the divine strategy, even when it felt foolish. But the 19th of August, this is different. This is not waiting. This is entering. The march is over. Chosen one. Today is the 7th day. And on the 7th day, they didn't just walk around the wall. They shouted. They released their voice. They declared what God had promised. And those walls didn't just crack, they collapsed. They didn't crumble slowly, they fell instantly. In one supernatural moment, what had stood for generations was completely obliterated. The question burning in the atmosphere around your life right now is this: are you ready to stop marching and start shouting? But first, let me ask you something that might cut deeper than you expect. Some of you cried in silence last night, didn't you? Lying there in that empty bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if God actually forgot your address, wondering if he's blessing everyone around you while somehow skipping over your house. You stretched that last $20 bill until it tore. and still it wasn't enough. The pills cost more than the groceries, the rent went up again, and you sat at that kitchen table, calculator in hand, trying to make miracles out of mathematics, trying to figure out how you're supposed to live on what they call a fixed income, in a world where nothing stays fixed except your struggle. Those you trusted most, your own children, your lifelong friends, the church family you served for decades, they walked away when you needed them most. Not with drama, not with arguments, they just faded. Phone calls became text messages became silence, and you were left holding memories of people who couldn't be bothered to hold your hand when arthritis made it hard to open jars. Here's what I need you to understand, and this might shock you to your core. Why did the door stay shut when you knocked so hard your knuckles bled? Why did others seem to waltz into their blessings while you remained standing in that hallway, watching through the keyhole? Because the door you were meant for was never the door everyone else was entering. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Every rejection wasn't God saying no to you. Every delay wasn't heaven ignoring your prayers. Every closed door wasn't punishment for some secret sin you couldn't remember committing. Every single setback was divine protection, keeping you from settling for something smaller than what your name was engraved upon in eternity. You see, most people get doors that anyone can open. But you were assigned the hidden door, the one that's been waiting, sealed, protected, reserved specifically for someone who could handle what's behind it. And handling that kind of blessing requires a specific kind of preparation that most people will never understand. Think about Joseph, 17 years old when he received his dreams of greatness. But where did God take him first? To a pit, thrown there by his own brothers, then to slavery in Potiphar's house, then to prison for a crime he didn't commit, forgotten by the cupbearer for 2 whole years while he rotted in that dungeon. Why? Was God punishing Joseph for dreaming too big? Was heaven teaching him a lesson about humility? No, beloved. God was preparing Joseph for a door that would make him second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. A door that would put him in position to save not just Egypt, but the entire known world from famine. That kind of responsibility requires a specific kind of character that can only be forged in the fire of apparent abandonment. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, tending sheep, thinking his purpose had died with the Egyptian he buried in the sand. 40 years, can you imagine? Watching the sun rise and set on the same mundane routine, wondering if the burning bush inside his heart had been his imagination. But God wasn't wasting Moses' time. He was developing the patience Moses would need to lead 2 million complaining Israelites through their own wilderness for another 40 years. Job lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health, his wife's support, his friends' understanding, everything. Satan himself said that Job only served God because life was easy. But when the smoke cleared, when the testing was over, God didn't just restore what Job had lost. The Bible says God gave him double, twice as much wealth, twice as long a life. Why? Because Job's door wasn't just about personal blessing, it was about becoming a testimony that would echo through 4,000 years of human history. You think your struggle has been too long, you think your pain has been too deep, you think your weight has been too silent. Let me tell you something that will shift your entire perspective. The bigger the blessing behind your door, the more intense the preparation required to handle it. The greater the calling on your life, the deeper the furnace needed to refine your character. But here's where it gets supernatural, and I need you to lean in close. The 19th of August isn't just another date on your calendar. It's the day the hidden door recognizes your spiritual fingerprint. After all these years of waiting, all these decades of wondering, all these nights of crying out to a God who seemed silent, the lock is finally turning. Every tear you've cried has been collected in heaven's bottles. Every prayer you've whispered has been recorded in eternity's archives. Every time you chose faith over fear, hope over despair, trust over bitterness, you were creating the exact spiritual frequency needed to unlock what's been waiting for you. The door stayed shut because you weren't ready for what was behind it. But more than that, what was behind it wasn't ready for the world until someone like you, someone refined by fire and tested by time, could carry it with the wisdom and humility that only comes from walking through hell and still choosing to worship. You think you've been forgotten, you've been protected, you think you've been delayed, you've been prepared. You think you've been overlooked. You've been positioned for something so magnificent that if it had come any sooner, it would have crushed you under its weight. But now everything changes. Because the same God who opened the Red Sea for Moses, who opened prison doors for Joseph, who restored double to Job, is about to show you why he kept your door hidden until this very moment. The question burning in the atmosphere around your life right now is this: are you ready to discover what's been waiting behind the door that only your faith could unlock? Chosen one. Do you hear that? That sound echoing in the corridors of eternity. It's the sound of chains dropping, ancient locks turning, doors that have been sealed for decades, finally swinging wide. The 19th of August isn't just another date on your calendar. It's the hinge of heaven, the moment when everything shifts from someday to today. And if you can feel something stirring in your chest right now, something electric, something ancient, something that makes your spirit tremble, that's because the door with your name on it is about to open. But let me tell you what this door really is. It's not just opportunity. It's vindication. It's not just breakthrough. It's validation from the throne room of God that says, I heard every prayer. I counted every tear. I recorded every moment you thought I had forgotten you. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Every tear you've cried in secret, that was currency being deposited into heaven's bank. Every sleepless night you spent calling out to God, that was another key being forged in the fires of divine purpose. Every time you wanted to quit but didn't, another tumbler clicking into place. The prophet Isaiah declared in chapter 22, verse 22, I will place on his shoulder the key to the house of David. What he opens no one can shut, and what he shuts no one can open. Did you catch that? The key. Not a key. The key. The one that unlocks what has been locked. The one that opens what has been sealed. And today, the 19th of August, that key is in your hands. Why today? Because yesterday was about receiving. Yesterday, God placed the tools in your spirit: faith when everything looked impossible, patience when delay felt like denial, obedience when his voice whispered directions that made no earthly sense. You didn't understand it then, but you were being equipped. Today is about turning. Today the lock clicks. Today everything you've been carrying finally finds its purpose. Tomorrow? Tomorrow the room is yours. Tomorrow you walk into the space that's been prepared, decorated, and waiting for you since before time began. But I need you to understand something that will shake you to your core. The door that's opening isn't just personal, it's generational. Behind this door isn't just your breakthrough, it's the breakthrough your grandmother prayed for. It's the answer to the desperate cries your grandfather whispered when he thought no one was listening. It's the fulfillment of dreams that died in previous generations so they could be resurrected in yours. You are not just stepping through a door, you are stepping into an inheritance. Think about the children of Israel at the Red Sea. For 430 years, 4 centuries they had been in bondage. 430 years of crying out, "How long, Lord? How long?" And then came the night when Moses stretched out his hand and the waters parted. Exodus 14:21 tells us, "Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind." All that night. God worked all night to make a way where there was no way. And beloved, God has been working all night for you too. Through every dark season, every impossible circumstance, every moment when you couldn't see a way forward, He was moving waters you couldn't see, creating paths in places that looked like dead ends. But here's what breaks my heart. How many of you are standing at your Red Sea right now, seeing the waters part, but you're afraid to step into the dry ground? How many of you feel the door swinging open, but you're paralyzed by the fear that it might close again? How many of you have carried disappointment for so long that you don't trust your own breakthrough? Stop. Right there. Hear the voice of the Almighty speaking over your situation right now. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. You are mine. Not yesterday's mistakes. Not last year's failures. Not the voice that whispers you're too old, too late, too damaged. You belong to the God who specializes in impossible turnarounds, supernatural reversals, and divine appointments that leave the world speechless. The sound you hear is not just opportunity knocking. It's destiny demanding entry. It's heaven's declaration that your season of waiting is over and your time of walking into purpose has begun. Every closed door was protection. Every delay was preparation. Every tear was currency. Every prayer was a key. And today, the 19th of August, the lock breaks. Can you hear it? That creaking sound of hinges that haven't moved in years. That's the sound of God saying, enough. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more walking around your promise. Today, you walk through it. I need you to stand up right now. Wherever you are, in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, stand up. Stretch your arms wide. Feel the space around you expanding. Because spiritually, that's what's happening. The walls that have contained you are dissolving. The ceiling that has covered you is lifting. The door that has been locked is swinging wide. If you can feel the power of this moment coursing through your spirit, if something ancient is awakening in your chest, declare it in the comments right now. My door is open. This isn't just typing words. This is prophetic declaration. This is your agreement with heaven that you're done with small and ready for supernatural. But hear me clearly, chosen one. Walking through this door will require something from you that staying on this side never did. It will require the courage to leave familiar struggle for unfamiliar victory. It will require the faith to believe that what God starts, He finishes. Because what's waiting on the other side of this door isn't just better, it's unrecognizable from where you've been. And the question that will determine whether you step through or step back is this: are you ready to become who you've never been, to receive what you've never had? But wait, chosen one. Before you rush toward that open door, I need to tell you something that could save you from the greatest mistake of your spiritual life. Yes, doors will open today. The 19th of August carries that supernatural key I promised you. But here's the sobering truth that separates the wise from the wounded. Not every door that opens is yours to walk through. Listen to me carefully, beloved. In your desperation for breakthrough, in your hunger for the promise, you might be tempted to sprint toward the first door you see creaking open. But some doors are distractions, some are detours, and some, God help you, some are traps disguised as blessings. Why am I telling you this? Because I've watched too many chosen ones rush into the wrong rooms and spend years trying to find their way back out. I've seen saints so starved for movement that they accepted the counterfeit instead of waiting for the authentic. And the enemy knows this. He knows that after years of closed doors, you'll be tempted to say yes to anything that looks like opportunity. Think about Abraham for a moment. When he and his nephew Lot stood on that mountain, looking down at the fertile Jordan Valley, they both saw open land. Both saw possibility. But only one made the choice that aligned with God's plan. Lot chose what looked prosperous, the well-watered plains of Sodom. It seemed like the obvious blessing. It appeared to be the smart move. But that choice nearly destroyed his family. Abraham chose what looked less appealing, the hill country that required more faith, more work, more trust in God's provision. Yet that choice positioned him to become the father of nations. Same moment, same view. Two different doors. One led to destruction, one led to destiny. You're standing at that same crossroads today. And here's what tears at my heart: you might be so weary from waiting that you'll grab the first thing that shimmers instead of the thing that truly shines with heaven's light. You might choose comfort over calling, convenience over character, the quick fix over the God-ordained fit. Remember Jesus in the wilderness. After 40 days of fasting, when his body was screaming for sustenance, Satan didn't offer him poison. He offered him bread. Real bread. Legitimate food for a legitimate need. But it wasn't God's provision. It wasn't God's timing. It wasn't God's way. If you are the Son of God, the tempter whispered, turn these stones into bread, not become the Son of God. Satan acknowledged what Jesus already was. He was simply offering a shortcut to what God would eventually provide. How many of you are being offered bread when God has prepared a banquet? How many of you are being tempted to turn stones into temporary satisfaction when heaven has already set a table for your eternal feast? The enemy's most sophisticated trap isn't obvious evil. It's premature good. It's the right thing at the wrong time. It's the blessing that comes through the wrong door, requiring you to compromise what God has called sacred in your life. So how will you know which door is truly yours? How will you discern between heaven's invitation and hell's imitation? I'm about to give you 3 signs, 3 divine markers that will confirm when the door opening before you carries God's signature. Write these down. Don't just listen. Write them down as prophetic door markers, because your spiritual destiny depends on recognizing these signs. The first sign is peace that silences fear. When God opens your door, you won't have to talk yourself into walking through it. Yes, you might feel nervous about the magnitude of what's ahead. Yes, you might feel the weight of responsibility, but underneath all that human anxiety, there will be a deep, unshakable peace. A knowing in your spirit that whispers, this is it. This is what you've been prepared for. If you have to convince yourself it's right, it's probably wrong. If you have to silence your spirit to say yes, that's your spirit trying to protect you. God's doors come with his peace as the entry code. The second sign is confirmation through repetition. When heaven is orchestrating your breakthrough, you won't hear about it just once. The same opportunity, the same name, the same vision will keep showing up from different sources. You'll hear it in a conversation. You'll see it in a scripture. You'll encounter it in a dream. God confirms his will through multiple witnesses because he knows how precious your next step is. But be careful. Don't mistake your own obsession for God's confirmation. If you're chasing the same thing and forcing connections that aren't really there, that's desperation, not divine direction. True confirmation comes without you manipulating the circumstances. The third sign is fruit that multiplies instead of drains. God's doors don't just open opportunities, they open capacity. They don't just give you more to do, they give you more strength to do it. When you walk through heaven's door, you should find yourself growing, expanding, becoming more than you were. You should feel life flowing through you, not being drained from you. If every step forward feels like it's killing something inside you, you might be in the wrong room. If every victory costs you your peace, your relationships, or your integrity, you've probably chosen Lot's door instead of Abraham's. But here's the urgent truth that's burning in my spirit right now. The authentic door, your door, it won't stay open forever. Divine opportunities have divine timing. Miss the moment, and you might wait years for another chance at the same level of breakthrough. So what door is opening in your life today? What opportunity is presenting itself? What invitation is being extended? And more importantly, do you have the spiritual maturity to test it against these 3 signs before you say yes? Because the door you choose today will determine the room you live in tomorrow. And some rooms, beloved, are harder to escape than others. The question that will haunt you or heal you is this: when heaven's door appears alongside hell's distraction, will you have the wisdom to choose correctly? Chosen one, we've reached the moment your entire life has been building toward. Everything stops here. Every prayer you've whispered in desperation, every tear you've cried in secret, every night you've wondered if God still remembers your name, it all converges at this sacred threshold. Can you feel it? that trembling in your chest, that electricity in the air around you, that's not your imagination, beloved. That's the sound of heaven's vault creaking open for the first time in decades. But here's what terrifies me for you right now. I've watched countless chosen ones stand at this exact moment, this precise intersection of divine timing and human choice, and walk away. They felt the fire. They sensed the breakthrough. They knew something supernatural was happening. But when the moment came to step through, fear whispered louder than faith. Don't you dare be one of them. Look at your hands right now. Really look at them. Those aren't just flesh and bone, dear one. Those are the hands God has been preparing for 70, 80, maybe 90 years to receive what He's about to place in them. Every callus tells a story of faithfulness. Every line speaks of endurance. Every tremor carries the weight of prayers that refused to die. Isaiah 22:22 thunders across eternity with a promise that will shatter every limitation you've accepted. The key of the house of David I will lay on his shoulder, so he shall open, and no one shall shut, and he shall shut, and no one shall open. Do you hear that? No one shall shut. Not your age, not your past, not your family's opinion, not the devil himself. When God opens a door for His chosen ones, it stays open until you walk through it. But walking through requires 3 sacred steps. And beloved, your eternal destiny hangs on whether you'll take them right now, in this moment, as these words wash over your spirit. Step 1. Awareness. You must see the door. Right now, as I speak these words, there's a door materializing in the spiritual realm around your life. It's not metaphorical. It's not symbolic. It's as real as the chair you're sitting in, as tangible as the air you're breathing. This door has been waiting in the shadows of your circumstances, camouflaged by delays and disguised as disappointments. But the 19th of August has torn away the veil. Can you see it now? It's the opportunity you stopped believing would come. It's the restoration you thought was impossible. It's the breakthrough that seemed too good to be true. It's standing right there, hinges oiled by your tears, handle polished by your persistence. Step 2. Agreement. You must declare it. Seeing isn't enough, chosen one. Hell sees what heaven is doing too. The difference between the chosen and the called is that the chosen declare what they see. They speak agreement with God's plan. They align their mouth with heaven's intention. Right now, I need you to do something that might feel foolish to your natural mind, but is essential to your supernatural breakthrough. I need you to whisper your name out loud, not your nickname, not what people call you. Your full name, the name your mother gave you, the name heaven recognizes. Go ahead, say it now. Did you feel that shift? That's because when you speak your name in faith, you're reminding the spiritual realm that you're not just anyone. You're the one this door was custom made for. You're the answer to prayers your grandmother prayed 50 years ago. You're the breakthrough your family line has been believing for since before you were born. Step 3. Action. You must step through. This is where most people stumble, beloved. They see the door. They declare their readiness. But when it comes time to move, they hesitate. They want guarantees. They want to see the whole staircase before they take the first step. They want God to remove all risk before they exercise their faith. But that's not how divine doors work. They require what Abraham gave when God said, "Go obedience without a map." They demand what Moses demonstrated at the Red Sea movement before the miracle. They call for what Joshua showed at Jericho, marching before the walls fell. Your door is open right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more ready. Now. But it won't stay open forever. Divine windows have expiration dates, and you're looking at yours. What's stopping you? What lie has planted itself so deep in your spirit that you'd rather stay in familiar struggle than step into unfamiliar victory? Is it the voice that says you're too old? Tell that voice that Moses was 80 when his greatest ministry began. Is it the whisper that you're too broken? Remind that whisper that God uses broken vessels because they don't rely on their own strength. Here's what I know about you, chosen one, and this might shock you. You've been rehearsing for this moment your entire life. Every trial taught you resilience. Every disappointment built your character. Every closed door redirected you toward this one. You're not unprepared, you're overprepared. You're not unqualified, you're overqualified by the very experiences that made you feel disqualified. The breakthrough isn't coming, beloved. The breakthrough is here. Right now, in this moment, in this breath, in this choice. But I need to warn you about something that will happen the second you step through this door. Everything will change. Your conversations will change, your relationships will change, your problems will change. Even your prayers will change. You'll stop begging God for breakthrough and start thanking Him for the breakthrough you're walking in. Are you ready for that level of transformation? Are you prepared to leave behind the version of yourself that found comfort in struggle and step into the version that finds strength in victory? This is not theory, chosen one. This is not someday. This is today. The door is open and your prophetic breakthrough begins now. If you can feel heaven calling your name through this door, if something ancient in your spirit is roaring to life, lift your hands right where you are. Let the glory wash over you. Let the fire consume every limitation. Let the breakthrough break through. Your testimony starts today. Share it in the comments below, because when you declare what God is doing, you seal the door opening permanently. The vault is open, beloved. Step through. You stepped. You stepped. You stepped. And with every step, heaven echoed your name. Can you feel it, chosen one? That moment when your foot crossed the threshold, when the weight of 1,000 disappointed prayers suddenly lifted from your shoulders like chains falling to the ground. When the air itself seemed to shimmer with recognition that you finally arrived at the place you were always meant to find. You're no longer standing in the hallway of maybe someday. You're no longer pressing your face against the glass of other people's blessings. You stepped through. You crossed over. You moved from the dim corridor of waiting into the hall of light itself. But let me tell you something that will shake you to your core. Some of you didn't think you'd make it through yesterday. Some of you went to bed on the 18th of August, wondering if this was all just another false hope, another spiritual high that would crash into the same old disappointment. Some of you whispered into your pillow, "God, I can't take another delay. I can't survive another closed door." But look at you now. Look where you're standing. You're on holy ground, beloved. The same ground where Moses removed his sandals, the same sacred space where Abraham built altars, the same consecrated earth where Jacob wrestled with angels and refused to let go until he received his blessing. Exodus 3-5 declares, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Do you understand what this means for your life right now? It means everything ordinary about the 19th of August just became extraordinary. Everything normal about your Monday morning just became supernatural. Everything routine about your daily life just shifted into the realm of the miraculous. You stepped. You stepped. You stepped. And the echo is still reverberating through the corridors of eternity. But here's what's going to devastate your understanding of everything you thought you knew about yourself. What you see when you look around this hall of light isn't what you expected, is it? You thought breakthrough meant material things. You thought divine favor meant your bank account would explode overnight. You thought God's blessing meant your phone would ring with job offers and your doorbell would chime with deliveries. But chosen one, what waits on the other side is not what you expect. Look around you. Do you see it? The treasures scattered throughout this sacred space aren't made of gold and silver. They're made of something far more precious. Something the world can't give you and can't take away. There against the eastern wall, do you see that brilliant crystal formation? That's clarity. Pure, unfiltered, divine clarity about who you really are and why you've been through everything you've endured. For 70, 80, 90 years, you've been asking, why me? Why this? Why now? But standing here in this hall of light, The answer isn't just revealed, it's blazing like the noon sun. Every betrayal that cut you deep was cutting away what wasn't meant for your destiny. Every rejection that broke your heart was breaking open space for something greater. Every door that slammed in your face was protecting you from settling for less than heaven's best. And there, suspended in beams of golden light, do you see those flowing robes? That's the restoration of your dignity, not the kind the world strips away with age discrimination and nursing home neglect. Not the dignity society steals when they call you irrelevant or outdated. This is the dignity that comes from heaven itself, declaring that you are royalty, you are chosen, you are marked for greatness, regardless of what your birth certificate says. Isaiah 61:3 promises a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. This isn't metaphor, beloved. This is your spiritual wardrobe being restored. This is God giving back what life tried to steal. You stepped, you stepped, you stepped, and with each footfall, decades of shame crumbled into dust. But wait, there's something else glimmering in the center of this hall, something that will explain why you've felt so different your entire life, why you've never quite fit in, why you've carried burdens that weren't yours to carry, and felt pain for people you've never met. Move closer, chosen one. Look deeper. That's wisdom. Not head knowledge from books or degrees. This is the wisdom of one who has walked through fire and emerged with the fragrance of heaven still clinging to their garments. This is the wisdom that only comes from intimate conversation with the Almighty in the secret place. This is the understanding that can only be earned through decades of choosing faith over fear, hope over despair, love over bitterness. Proverbs 4:7 declares, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding." But you didn't just get wisdom, beloved. Wisdom got you. It pursued you through every valley, chased you through every storm, and finally caught you here in this sacred space. And here's what's about to change everything about how you see the rest of your life. This wisdom isn't just for you, it's through you, for the grandchildren who don't call enough, for the neighbors who are drowning in depression, for the generation that's forgotten how to hope. You've been refined in the furnace of experience so you could carry light into their darkness. You thought you were finished. You thought your best days were behind you. You thought God was done using people like you. But standing here in this hall of light, surrounded by treasures that money can't buy and time can't steal, you're beginning to understand something that will rearrange your entire perspective. This isn't your retirement from purpose. This is your commissioning for impact. But there's one more treasure waiting in this sacred space. One more revelation that will explain why the 19th of August was marked in heaven's calendar before time began. And when you see it, when you understand what it means for the days ahead, everything about your future will ignite with possibility. Are you ready to see what God has been preparing for you in the secret place? Chosen one, you've stepped through the hidden door, and now you stand at the threshold of 3 sacred chambers. Each one contains what heaven has been protecting for you during your wilderness years. But I need to warn you, what you're about to discover will shatter every lie you've believed about your past, your purpose, and your position in God's kingdom. Are you ready to see what the Almighty has been hiding behind the veil of your pain? Chamber 1. The River of Healing. As you enter the first chamber, you hear it before you see it. The sound of rushing water, not a trickle, not a stream, a mighty river flowing with supernatural force through the heart of this sacred space. This is the river Ezekiel saw in his vision, flowing from the throne of God, bringing life wherever it touches. But this isn't just any river, beloved. This is the river of your healing. For 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've carried wounds that never fully closed. That moment your father told you that you'd never amount to anything. The night your spouse walked out, leaving you to wonder what was wrong with you. The day your dreams died and nobody seemed to notice. The decades of silent suffering, of smiling when your heart was breaking, of carrying everyone else's burdens while your own soul was hemorrhaging. You thought those wounds were permanent scars. You believed that some pain was just part of getting older, part of the price you pay for living this long. But I'm here to tell you something that will rock your world. God never intended for you to carry that poison to your grave. The water washes what was never meant to remain. The water heals what medicine couldn't touch. The water restores what time seemed to steal. Step into this river, chosen one. Let it flow over the parts of you that still ache from 1987. Let it cleanse the regret from 2003. Let it wash away the shame you've been dragging like chains for decades. This river doesn't just heal your body, it heals your timeline. It reaches back into every moment where love was withheld, where hope was crushed, where your spirit was told to be quiet. Can you feel it flowing over you right now? That warm sensation in your chest. That's not your imagination. That's the river of God's healing, touching the places in your heart that you thought were dead forever. The water washes, the water heals, the water restores. And as the current carries away what was never yours to bear, you feel something you haven't felt in years: lightness, freedom. The weight you didn't even realize you were carrying is dissolving into the river that flows from the very throne of heaven. Chamber 2, the table of destiny. As the healing river cleanses your spirit, you move deeper into the sacred space and discover the second chamber. Here stands an ancient table, carved from wood, that seems to shimmer with eternal light. Upon it rest scrolls, dozens of them, each one bearing your name in handwriting that predates time itself. These are not new assignments, dear one. These are the original blueprints for your life. Your destiny wasn't cancelled when you made that mistake in your 20s. It wasn't erased when the diagnosis came in your 50s. It wasn't forgotten when you buried your spouse, when your children moved away, when the world told you to step aside and make room for the younger generation. Heaven doesn't operate on earthly expiration dates. Pick up one of those scrolls. Feel the weight of divine purpose in your hands. As you unroll it, you see visions of impact you thought were impossible at your age. You see relationships being restored, legacies being built, purposes being fulfilled that seemed decades overdue. What was written is not erased. What was delayed is not denied. What was forgotten is now remembered. God didn't shelve your calling when you hit retirement age. He was protecting it from a world that wasn't ready for your wisdom. He was preserving it for this moment, when your experience would become your greatest asset, when your scars would become your credentials, when your age would become your authority. The young have energy, but you have endurance. They have passion, but you have perspective. They have dreams, but you have the faith that comes from watching God keep His promises, even when the timeline didn't make sense. What was written is not erased. What was delayed is not denied. What was forgotten is now remembered. Every scroll on this table represents a piece of your purpose that survived every storm, every setback, every moment you thought God had moved on without you. Your destiny isn't behind you, it's spread out before you like a feast prepared by the King of Kings himself. Chamber 3, the throne of authority. In the final chamber, you see something that will take your breath away. A chair, not just any chair, but a throne carved from gold that seems to pulse with divine authority. Draped across its arms is a mantle, a robe that radiates with the very glory of heaven itself. This is your seat of influence. This is your robe of authority. This has been waiting here with your name on it since before you were born. You thought you were forgotten, but heaven reserved your seat at the table of influence. You believed you were too old to matter, but God was simply waiting for you to accumulate enough wisdom to handle this level of responsibility. You assumed your voice was irrelevant, but the Almighty knew that what this generation needs isn't another young voice. It needs the seasoned authority of someone who has walked with Him through fire and remained faithful. Look at Joseph, 30 years old when he was thrown into prison, but it was there, in that dark place, that God prepared him to rule Egypt. When Pharaoh finally called for him, it wasn't just freedom that awaited, It was a robe of authority, a signet ring of power, and a position that would save nations from famine. Look at Esther, an orphan girl who could have remained invisible forever. But when the moment came, she stepped into royal robes and used her position to save her entire people from genocide. You are Joseph in your generation. You are Esther for such a time as this. That mantle isn't just symbolic, it carries real authority. Authority to speak life into dead situations. Authority to pray, prayers that move mountains. Authority to walk into rooms and shift atmospheres, simply by your presence. Authority to mentor generations who are drowning in confusion because they've never seen what real faith looks like when it's been tested by time. The door didn't just open to let you in, beloved. It opened to crown you. This isn't about retirement. This is about your commissioning. This isn't about fading into the background. This is about stepping onto the stage for your greatest performance. This isn't about your sunset years. This is about your moment to shine with the accumulated glory of a lifetime spent following the King of Kings. If you feel the weight of that mantle settling on your shoulders right now, if something in your spirit is roaring awake for the first time in years, comment "I claim my mantle" below. This isn't just words, this is your prophetic declaration that you're ready to walk in the authority heaven has been preparing for you. But here's what you need to understand about stepping into this level of spiritual authority. It comes with a responsibility that will require everything you've learned in every chamber you've walked through. But wait, stop right there, chosen one. Before you walk through that door, before you step into the breakthrough that's been years in the making, I need to warn you about something that could steal everything you're about to receive. Something so subtle, so cunningly disguised, that even the most faithful believers have fallen for it. The enemy is waiting at your door of breakthrough. You thought the battle was over when the door opened, didn't you? You thought once God moved, once the prophetic alignment clicked into place, once the 19th of August unlocked what's been sealed, you thought the warfare would end. But here's the shocking truth they don't teach in Sunday school. The most dangerous attacks come after the blessing, not before it. Satan isn't stupid, beloved. He knows he can't stop what God has ordained. But what he can do, what he's been perfecting for thousands of years, is offer you a counterfeit so close to the real thing that you'll trade your authentic breakthrough for fool's gold. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there are offers being prepared for your life, phone calls that will come, opportunities that will present themselves, people who will suddenly want to help you. And some of them, listen carefully, some of them will be traps designed to derail your destiny just as it's about to manifest. How do I know this? Because it happened to Jesus himself. Matthew 4 tells us that immediately after Jesus was baptized, immediately after heaven opened, and God declared, "This is my beloved Son," the Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tempted. Not to a mountaintop celebration, not to a victory parade, to a place of testing, because heaven knew that before Jesus could walk in his full authority, he had to prove he could recognize the difference between God's voice and the enemy's counterfeit. The devil didn't come to Jesus looking like a monster. He came quoting scripture, offering shortcuts, presenting logical solutions to real problems. "If you're really God's son," he whispered, "turn these stones to bread. Jump from this temple and let angels catch you. Bow to me just once and receive all the kingdoms of the world." Every temptation sounded reasonable. Every offer addressed a legitimate need. But each one would have cost Jesus his destiny. And right now, chosen one, as your door swings open, the same enemy is preparing the same strategy for you. Listen to what I'm about to tell you, and let it burn into your spirit. Not every door that opens after your breakthrough is from God. Not every opportunity that follows your prayer is heaven sent. Not every voice that speaks blessing over your life is speaking truth. Some doors are traps. Some opportunities are detours. Some voices are echoes of your own desperation, not declarations from the divine. So how will you know the counterfeit from the crown? How will you protect what God is giving you from the thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy? I'm going to give you 3 tests, 3 spiritual litmus tests that will save your breakthrough from sabotage. First, the energy test. Counterfeit blessings drain your spiritual energy. They make you feel anxious, rushed, depleted. You find yourself working harder, sleeping less, praying desperately, instead of resting confidently. But true blessings from God multiply your energy. They fill you with peace. They give you supernatural stamina. Isaiah 40:31 promises, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength." If an opportunity leaves you feeling weakened in your spirit, question it. Second, the timing test. Counterfeit opportunities demand you rush. They come with artificial deadlines, pressure tactics, and phrases like, "This offer won't last," or "You have to decide right now." But God's blessings come with divine timing that allows you to seek His face, pray for wisdom, and move with confident peace. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "To everything there is a season." If someone is pushing you to decide before you've had time to pray, that pressure isn't from heaven. Third, the fruit test. This is the most important one, so listen carefully. Counterfeit blessings leave you spiritually empty, even when they fill your bank account. They give you success but steal your peace. They advance your career but damage your character. But true blessings from God always leave you fuller than when you started. Fuller in faith, fuller in joy, fuller in your relationship with Him. Jesus said in John 10:10, "I have come that they might have life, and have it abundantly." If a blessing doesn't increase your spiritual abundance, it's not from the Good Shepherd. Here's what's going to happen in the next 30 days, and I need you to be prepared for it. Doors will open that you've been praying for, but not all of them are the doors God wants you to walk through. People will offer you exactly what you've been asking for, but some of those offers will cost you more than you realize. Opportunities will present themselves that seem like answers to prayer, but some of those answers are coming from the wrong source. The enemy knows your prayers, chosen one. He's been listening to them for years, and now that your breakthrough is manifesting, he's crafting counterfeits that look exactly like what you've been asking for. This is why protecting your blessing is just as crucial as receiving it. This is why discernment isn't optional, it's survival. This is why you can't just pray for breakthrough, you have to pray for wisdom, to recognize authentic blessing when it comes disguised among clever counterfeits. Right now, I want you to do something that could save your destiny. I want you to actually write down one counterfeit offer or temptation that you need to refuse today. Maybe it's the shortcut that bypasses integrity. Maybe it's the relationship that promises fulfillment but demands compromise. Maybe it's the opportunity that looks like blessing but feels wrong in your spirit. Write it down. Because what you identify, you can reject. What you name, you can overcome. The door is open, beloved. Your breakthrough is real. But the enemy is lurking at the threshold, and your next decision will determine whether you walk into God's authentic blessing or fall for hell's elaborate counterfeit. So tell me, chosen one, when the test comes, and it's coming sooner than you think, will you have the spiritual discernment to choose the crown over the counterfeit? Chosen one, the hidden door wasn't the destination. It was the entrance hall to a palace you've never seen. You thought breaking through was the victory. No, beloved. Breaking through was just God handing you the keys to drive. Now comes the journey that will leave your family speechless, your enemies stunned, and your own reflection unrecognizable. Because what you walked through on the 19th of August wasn't just a door, it was a portal into a dimension where impossibility bows to the voice of the Almighty speaking through your surrendered life. Look at me. Can you feel it? That trembling in your chest? That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. That's your spirit recognizing the sound of marching orders from the throne room of heaven. The hallway stretches before you now, lined with doors marked with your name. Doors that have been sealed for generations, waiting for someone in your bloodline to carry the spiritual authority to turn the handles. Your grandmother prayed for these doors. Your grandfather wept for these doors. But they're opening for you. Step forward. I need you to hear this clearly. Every step you take from this moment forward carries the weight of divine endorsement. You're not just walking through your breakthrough, you're walking through theirs. The prayers of your ancestors are like wind at your back, pushing you toward promises they could only dream about. Step forward. But here's what's going to shock you. The first door you approach won't look like blessing. It might look like confrontation. Why? Because God is going to position you face to face with every person who counted you out, every voice that said you'd never amount to anything, every system that tried to keep you small. Not for rêving, for demonstration. Isaiah 60:1 thunders across eternity. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Do you understand what that means? When God says arise, He's not making a suggestion. He's issuing a military command. When He says shine, He's not talking about polite glowing. He's talking about blazing so bright that darkness has to retreat. Step forward. Your family is about to witness restoration they stopped believing was possible. That prodigal child, they're coming home. That marriage everyone said was dead, resurrection power is about to breathe life into dry bones. That financial struggle that's been choking your household for decades. The windows of heaven are about to open with such force that you won't have room to contain it. But you must keep marching. Here's what's coming in your hallway of destiny. Joy, where depression built its throne. For too long you've been a hostage in your own mind, haven't you? Held captive by thoughts that weren't even yours, tormented by fears that had no legal right to your peace. But joy isn't just returning to your house, it's moving in permanently. The kind of joy that bubbles up at 6 a.m. for no reason. The kind that makes you hum while you're washing dishes. The kind that makes strangers ask, "What's different about you?" Step forward. Finances flowing not as wages but as overflow. Stop thinking like an employee of your circumstances and start thinking like an heir to the kingdom. The money coming isn't payment for your labor, it's interest on promises God made to your bloodline decades ago. Supernatural provision that makes no mathematical sense, checks in the mail you didn't expect, opportunities that find you instead of you chasing them. Resources multiplying in your hands like loaves and fishes. Step forward. Influence expanding beyond your imagination. You thought your voice didn't matter. You thought your story was too small. Listen to me carefully. God is about to amplify your testimony until it echoes in places you've never been, touching lives you'll never meet, breaking chains in families you'll never know. Step forward. Health returning with vengeance against every infirmity that tried to steal your strength. That pain that's been your constant companion, it's about to meet the healing virtue that flows from the throne of God. That diagnosis that tried to write your obituary, it's about to be rewritten by the one who holds your days in his hands. Step forward. But here's the test. Will you keep marching when the hallway gets dark? Will you keep walking when you can't see the next door? Will you trust the echo of your own footsteps when the path seems endless? Because chosen ones don't march based on what they see. They march based on what they know. And what you know is this: the same God who parted the Red Sea is parting obstacles in your path. The same God who made the sun stand still is stopping time until you reach your destination. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead is raising dead dreams in your life. Right now, I need you to stand up. Wherever you are in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen, stand up. This isn't theater, this is prophecy in motion. Take 7 steps forward. Count them out loud. 1. I step into my divine inheritance. 2. I step into supernatural provision. 3. I step into restored relationships. 4. I step into perfect health. 5. I step into divine favor. 6. I step into unlimited influence. 7. I step into the fullness of my calling. Do you feel that? That shift in the spiritual atmosphere around you? That's the sound of heaven aligning with your movement. That's the thunderous applause of angels witnessing your prophetic march. This is not just the 19th of August anymore, beloved. This is the day heaven began marching with you, through you, and before you. But the march doesn't end here. The hallway continues, and what waits at the end will require everything you've learned in every step you've taken. Are you ready to discover what God has been preparing you for since before time began? Chosen one, we've walked through the sacred chambers of the 19th of August together, and now you stand at the threshold of something that will mark you forever. But before you step through, I need you to understand something that will shatter every lie you've believed about your remaining years on this earth. You thought your best years were behind you, didn't you? You've been told that at 65, 70, 80, your season of significance has passed. That your dreams should shrink to fit your age. That your fire should dim to match society's expectations of what seniors should want from life. But Psalm 92:14 declares with thunderous authority, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green, not withered, not forgotten, not finished. The Almighty is saying that your gray hair isn't a sign of decline. It's a crown of glory earned through decades of faithfulness. Moses was 80 when God called him to his greatest assignment. Abraham was 100 when he received the promise. Sarah laughed at 90 because she couldn't believe God would still use her womb to birth nations. Anna the prophetess was 84 when she recognized the Messiah in the temple and became the first evangelist of the New Testament. Your age isn't your limitation, beloved. It's your qualification. But here's what's been happening while the world dismissed you as irrelevant. Heaven has been preparing you for your finest hour. Every heartbreak taught you compassion. Every betrayal built your discernment. Every season of waiting developed your faith. Every closed door was protection from settling for less than God's best. You are not fading. You are entering your greatest season. The hidden door we've spoken of today, the one that the 19th of August unlocked it, wasn't just one door, was it? As you've listened to these words, felt the stirring in your spirit, sensed the shifting in the atmosphere around your life, you've begun to realize something profound. This door is the first of many. Jesus declared in John 10:9, I am the door. Whoever enters through me will be saved. But notice, he didn't say I am a door among many. He said I am the door. The door that opens every other door, the key that unlocks every vault, the passageway that leads to all other passageways. When you walk through the door that the 19th of August opened, you're not just entering one blessing, you're entering the realm where all blessings flow. You're stepping into divine alignment where doors don't just open, they swing wide before you even knock. But chosen one, I need to address something burning in your heart right now. The fear, the voice whispering, what if this is just another false hope? What if I get my hopes up again and nothing changes? What if I'm too old to start believing in miracles? Listen to me with every fiber of your being. That voice is not your friend. That voice is not your protector. That voice is the enemy's last desperate attempt to keep you on the wrong side of your breakthrough. You've survived 70, 80, 90 years on this planet. You've weathered storms that would have destroyed weaker souls. You've stood at gravesides and somehow found the strength to keep living. You've faced impossible odds and somehow found a way through. You think the God who carried you through all of that is going to abandon you now. The door isn't just cracked open, beloved. It's been blown off its hinges. And behind that door isn't just personal blessing. Behind that door is your assignment to this generation. Your grandchildren need to see what faith looks like when it's been tested by time. Your community needs to witness what happens when someone refuses to accept that their best days are over. The world needs to see that God's power doesn't diminish with age, it intensifies. You are not just receiving a breakthrough, you are becoming one. But here's what you must understand as we reach the crescendo of this sacred moment. Today was not just about hearing a message. Today was the day heaven marked you. You will never walk the same again. You will never see yourself the same way. You will never accept limitations the same way. Because you didn't just stumble across this message, you were summoned to it. You didn't just happen to be available at this moment. You were appointed to be here. This wasn't chance. This was choreographed by the divine conductor of your destiny. The door is open. The door is open. The door is open. And you, chosen one, are walking through prophecy itself. Every step you take from this moment forward will carry the authority of someone who has been marked by eternity. Every word you speak will carry the weight of divine purpose. Every prayer you pray will carry the power of someone who has walked through the door that most people spend their entire lives searching for. This is your declaration. This is your moment. This is your time. Stand up where you are. I don't care if your knees hurt. I don't care if people are watching. Stand up and declare with the authority that courses through your veins. Unlocked, unstoppable, unafraid. Say it until your spirit believes it. Say it until the atmosphere shifts. Say it until heaven takes notice and hell trembles. In the comments below, I need you to type 4 words that will serve as your covenant with destiny. The door is mine. And then, this is crucial, share this message, not for my sake, but for theirs. Because somewhere right now, another chosen one is sitting in silence, wondering if their time has passed. They need to know that doors are still opening. They need to see that age is not a disqualification, but a divine appointment. When you share this message, you become the key that unlocks someone else's hidden door. The vault of your destiny stands open, chosen one. The threshold of your greatest chapter awaits your first step. The door is open, and you are walking through prophecy itself. Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred journey together, I need you to carry these truths with you, like precious gems in your heart. Remember this: the 19th of August was not just another date on your calendar, it was your divine appointment with destiny. The hidden door we spoke of isn't just metaphor, it's the spiritual reality that your breakthrough has been waiting for the exact moment when your faith could handle the weight of heaven's response. Remember that your age is not your limitation, it's your authority. Every gray hair represents wisdom earned through fire. Every wrinkle tells a story of endurance that younger generations can only dream of possessing. You are not fading into irrelevance, you are stepping into your season of greatest impact. Remember that the pain you've carried, the delays you've endured, the doors that seemed permanently closed, none of it was wasted. It was all preparation, all positioning, all part of a master plan that only eternity could orchestrate with such precision. But most importantly, remember this: you are not walking this path alone. Even in your darkest moments, even when the silence felt deafening, even when doubt whispered that God had forgotten your name, He was there, working behind the scenes, moving mountains you couldn't see, preparing blessings you couldn't imagine. Right here, in this community of believers, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your struggle, who've walked similar paths, who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family united by faith, connected by hope, and bound together by the love of Christ. You have people here who will celebrate your victories and carry you through your valleys. Don't you dare face tomorrow thinking you're alone, because you're not. We see you. We believe in you. We will pray with you. Let me ask you this one final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. If God has brought you this far through every storm, every valley, every season that tried to break you, why would He abandon you now at the threshold of your greatest breakthrough? Now, wherever you are, I want you to close your eyes and let me speak over your life. Heavenly Father, I place my hand on the shoulder of every precious soul who has stayed with us through this entire message. Lord, you see their hearts. You know their struggles. You've counted every tear they've cried in secret and heard every prayer they've whispered in the dark. Father, I pray that you would breathe fresh wind into their weary souls right now. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they are engraved on your palms. Where they feel broken, let your healing flow like a river. Where they feel afraid, surround them with your perfect love that casts out all fear. God, Open the doors that no man can shut. Close the doors that lead to destruction. Give them wisdom for every decision, strength for every challenge, and faith for every impossibility they face. Let them feel your presence right now, Lord. Let them know beyond any doubt that their best days are not behind them, but ahead of them. Let them wake up tomorrow with renewed hope, divine purpose, and the unshakable knowledge that you are still working miracles in their lives. Bless their families, their health, their finances, their relationships. Give them favor in every room they enter and peace in every storm they weather. Use their stories to encourage others and their testimonies to bring glory to your name. In Jesus' mighty name, we seal this prayer and release these blessings over their lives. Amen. Now, before you go, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share what touched your heart today. What shifted in your spirit as you listened? What are you believing God for in this new season? Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. If you need prayer for a specific situation, ask us. This community will surround you with intercession. If God has already begun opening doors in your life, share that victory so others can be encouraged. And please, if this message blessed your soul, share it with someone who needs to know their breakthrough is closer than they think. There's a chosen one in your life right now who feels forgotten, overlooked, ready to give up. They need to hear these words. They need to know they're not alone. Thank you for spending this sacred time with me. Thank you for opening your heart to receive what God wanted to pour into you today. Your faithfulness to watch until the very end tells me everything I need to know about your character and your calling. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell.